Have you ever felt that tiny nudge in your gut? The sense that someone is trying to pull your strings, manipulate your emotions, or control how you feel? Most people ignore it. They assume it's paranoia or overthinking. But here's the truth. Once you notice it, you can turn the game against them. And it's far easier than you think. This isn't about revenge. It's about power. The power to remain untouchable, emotionally and mentally. When someone tries to manipulate you, they're relying on your blind spots, your automatic emotional responses. They assume you will react, and that reaction is the fuel for their control.
Step 1. Recognition. The first and most critical skill is noticing the pattern before it escalates.
Are they using guilt to push you into action? Are they subtly undermining your confidence while making it look like concern? Are they giving you tiny doses of approval, then pulling back unpredictably? Each of these is a signal, a clue, a thread in a behavioral pattern designed to trap your mind.
Step 2. Detachment. Once you recognize the tactic, your brain has a choice. You don't have to react. You can observe. Psychologists call this the observer stance, watching the behavior without becoming emotionally entangled. In practice, it's like stepping outside your own emotional narrative and seeing their strategy as it really is, an external process, not a reflection of your worth or judgment. Step 3. Recalibration. After detachment comes subtle redirection. This is where you regain control. When someone tries to trigger you, respond intentionally, not impulsively. If they attempt guilt, respond with calm boundaries. If they attempt uncertainty, respond with clarity. If they attempt emotional escalation, respond with measured neutrality. Every reaction you choose, rather than reflexively giving them emotional fuel, shifts the balance. Here's a key psychological principle most people overlook: behavioral inversion. When you mirror their tactics subtly, without aggression or obvious counterplay, you can make them react predictably instead. Their brain begins to chase your emotional pattern, rather than the other way around. It's not manipulation, it's awareness applied strategically. You are no longer the prey. You are the arbiter of emotional rhythm. And while it may sound mechanical, there's a hidden advantage here. Observation and subtle redirection can feel almost like a game, because once you know the patterns, guilt tripping, love bombing, projection, triangulation, your mind begins to anticipate their moves. Anticipation turns fear or frustration into curiosity and even mild amusement. You can see the mechanics at work without being caught in the loop. Step 4. Energy preservation. Emotional manipulators thrive on your energy. The less you feed the cycle, the weaker it becomes. This isn't ignoring someone, it's prioritizing your own mental and emotional space. Every time you step back, assess, and respond intentionally, you drain the power of the manipulation. Finally, step 5. Psychological imprinting for yourself. Take every situation where manipulation occurs as a learning opportunity. The more you experience, the more attuned you become to subtle emotional cues, patterns, and triggers. Over time, your mind becomes a fortress. Emotional attacks may still happen, but they fail to penetrate. You respond with precision, confidence, and control, almost effortlessly. The hidden effect of these steps isn't just protection, it's empowerment. Once you master recognition, detachment, recalibration, energy preservation, and imprinting, your mind begins to operate on a level where others' attempts at control no longer hold sway. You see the patterns, you understand the mechanics, and you step through them consciously, like a chess master moving pieces, rather than a pawn reacting to force. Now that you understand the framework, let's get into the details, the micro-triggers manipulators use every day, often without realizing it themselves. Recognizing these is the difference between being a target and being untouchable. First, emotional mirroring gone wrong. Most manipulators will subtly reflect your feelings back to you, but in a distorted way. If you're anxious, they heighten it. If you're calm, they feign calm, but insert small, unsettling inconsistencies. The trick is subtle, almost imperceptible, but your mind notices. Once you catch it, you can respond neutrally or even invert the cue, disrupting the pattern and reclaiming emotional control. Second, micro-contradictions. These are tiny, almost invisible inconsistencies in words, tone, or behavior.
like praising you one moment and undercutting you the next.
These tiny gaps trigger your brain to compensate, to analyze, to fix. That's the hook manipulators rely on. Recognize the pattern, label it mentally, and the compulsion to overthink disappears. You respond with clarity, not anxiety. Baited choices.
A manipulator will present options, all designed to serve their agenda, making you think you have control while actually nudging you into their preferred outcome. The counter is simple but powerful. Pause before choosing. Ask yourself, does this serve me, or am I simply reacting to the setup? Pausing breaks the illusion.
Fourth, emotional escalation loops. This is the classic push and pull. They will provoke a reaction, then reward compliance with relief or approval. It's intermittent reinforcement in human form. Your brain begins to anticipate the reward, creating attachment to the cycle. Awareness is your weapon. When you see the loop, you no longer need to participate in it. Neutrality becomes your shield. Fifth, subtle guilt induction. Often wrapped in care, concern, or rational argument, guilt is one of the most powerful emotional hooks. The moment you feel it creeping in, name it internally. This is a guilt trigger. Naming it disarms its power. Then respond based on reason, not emotion. Your mind regains sovereignty. Here's the crucial insight. The more you recognize these micro-triggers, the less energy you spend reacting. You no longer feed the cycle. You start noticing patterns before they escalate.
Manipulation loses its potency,
And the experience transforms from frustrating to almost entertaining, because your mind is now anticipating moves, reading cues, and staying 3 steps ahead. Finally, the ultimate shift, turning awareness into agency. Once you are attuned, you can subtly influence the interaction, without aggression, without obvious counterplay. Small, intentional actions, a pause, a question, a controlled smile, redirect the emotional flow. Suddenly, you are no longer a pawn. You are the arbiter of emotional rhythm. Now, you're probably thinking, these are too many things to remember. Don't get overwhelmed. Watch this video as many times as you need, calmly, and think about those moments in which you experienced similar situations.
Just remember them and save the information. Don't judge yourself for how you reacted at the moment. Little by little, your mind will bring the information exactly when you need it. It takes a little practice, like everything in life, but before long, it gets easier and funnier.
Remember, the human mind is wired to seek patterns.
Manipulators exploit this, but now you're the one setting the pattern. You're the one controlling the loop. And that knowledge, it makes you untouchable.
If you found this insight useful and want to master the psychology behind influence and emotional control, subscribe now. Stay ahead of manipulation, learn how to anticipate emotional loops, and gain the tools to win in every interaction.